Welcome to this video. Today we'll be doing the 69th problem of the code called square root of x. So this is another easy difficulty question. So the question asks that given a non-negative integer x, compute and return the square root of x. So then it's pretty simple. You're just supposed to find the square root of x. Okay, so since the return type is an integer, the decimal digits are truncated, and only the integer part of the result is returned. So what that means is that for truncated, is that when you have, let's say, square root of 6, then it'll be the output will be 2, because though it's more than 2, truncate means to round down if it's a decimal. So then if you have, say, if you have square root of 5 and let's just say it's 2.4 then. Okay, if it's 2.4, then it's gonna round down because it's truncated. So and the only integer part of the result is returned. So you only want an integer. So then we'll look at the examples. So example 1, you have x equals to 4. So then you know the square root of 4 would be 2. Then that would be your output. So then for the second example, then x equals to 8. So we know that you can't square root 8. So then the output will be 2. Why? Because the square root of 8 is about 2.8. Okay, and since the decimal part is truncated, 2 is returned. That means it rounds down. So no matter how high it is, it's always going to round down, no matter what. So, okay. So then we're going to read the next part. No, you're not to use any built-in or exponent function or operators such as, okay, so we're not going to use these, okay? Okay, so what we're going to do this is we're going to create a count, okay? And then we're going to make a while loop. So like if x is greater or equal than to count squared or count plus 1 squared, okay? And then you're going to keep adding count until you reach it, okay? So then how we're going to do this is we're going to double count equals to 0. It has to be double because it can't be integer, because if it's an integer, it won't work because you're supposed to have double. Like if it's a square root of 5, then it's not going to be a integer. So it's going to return an error. So we're going to have to use double. So we can do while x is greater than equal to. So we're going to write count plus. Well, only if we're not doing count, it's because we start as count equals to 0. So it's going to be, it's just going to go faster. So like the run process will be faster and smoother. Okay, and then we're going to multiply by, again, same thing. So it's the same thing as by squaring, but since we don't have something in Java like that, and we're not to use it, we're going to use just multiplication. So we're going to count plus plus. Because if it's greater, that means you have to keep adding on, adding. But once it's smaller, then you know that it must run down. Okay, so then we can go through the while loop and return. Okay, so how are we supposed to truncate this? So then you know that when you convert a double into an integer, then no matter what the number is, like the double is, you're always gonna round it down. So if you have 2.8, you're gonna round it to 2. So that's handy. That's handy. So we're going to do int. So we're gonna turn it into an integer. We're just gonna do this. Integer of count. So this is gonna round all the decimals down. So in other terms, truncate. So if we submit this, this should be correct. Okay, let's add the extra sample cases. Incorrect, so we can submit it. So then our runtime is 43 milliseconds. And if you run it many times, you should see from about average of 40 milliseconds. Okay, so though this isn't the fastest way, it's it's easy to understand. Okay, so this is the end of the video, and bye.